O God, we praise and glorify you for your grace on South Sudan, land of great abundance. Uphold us united in peace and harmony. O motherland, we rise, raising flag with a guiding star, and sing songs of freedom with joy, for justice, liberty, and prosperity shall forevermore reign. O great patriots, let us stand up in silence and respect, saluting our martyrs whose blood cemented our national foundation. We vow to protect our nation. O God, bless South Sudan. Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. It's a great pleasure to have you here watching this video. Today I'm going to talk about a very important topic. It is an educative political topic that I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the government of the Republic of South Sudan. Many people do consider this government as a government of Dinka. Many political activists, many South Sudanese political activists call this government Dinka government. So we are going to find out today, is the government in Juba really a Dinka government? Does it represent Dinka? Does it serve the interests of Dinka? Does this government take care of the Dinkas more than the other South Sudanese? Or is it a different narrative? So together, let us find out the fact about the government that we have in Juba, that we call our government. It is well noticed that members of Dinka government are told by government officials that the government in Juba is their government simply because the head of state happened to be from their community. They are also told that the government run by President Salva Kiir Mayardit in Juba is their government simply because they have some members of their communities as national ministers, advisors, under secretaries and director generals at the level of ministries in Juba. The government in Juba is assumed to be a Dinka government by other South Sudanese citizens who are non-Dinkas because majority of members of this government are Dinkas. The Dinkas are employed at different levels of the government of South Sudan. So those Dinkas who have got opportunities of employment at different levels of the government of South Sudan tell their fellow Dinkas that this is your government simply because they are part of the government. So the government is assumed by some Dinkas to be their own government because they think that they are the liberators of South Sudan, denying thereby the painstaking contributions of other South Sudanese in the liberations struggle of land of great abundance. So the question is this government a Dinka government? Does it truly represent the Dinka government? In my personal view, my answer is no. This government that we have in Juba today does not represent the Dinka. It is not a Dinka government. Okay. If it is not a Dinka government, whose government is it? Whose government is it if it is not a Dinka government? First of all, let me begin to tell you the reason why I believe the government we have in Juba is not a Dinka government. It is not a Dinka government because Dinkas are equally suffering like the rest of South Sudanese. We know that the government that we have in Juba is a failed government. From 2005 until 2020 today, this government is 15 years old. And this government has been there in Juba since its formation in 2005 until now. It has not been delivering services that the government is supposed to deliver to its citizens. If you look at the Dinka areas, you will not find that there are services delivered to them. If you go to the hometown of the president himself, President Salva Kiir Mayardit, where he comes from Warab State. And within Warabi State, he comes from Gogrial County. It is the same county that I come from. If you go to Gogrial today, and specifically if you go to Akon, the home area of the president, you will see how people are suffering from lack of services. And in fact, Warabi State is the last state in South Sudan. Maybe Torid is better than Warab State. Okay, let me say Eastern Equatorial. If you go to the towns like Torid and Kapoita, they would be better than Gogrial or Kwajok in Warab State or other areas like Toin. So the people in the home area of the presidents have not been served. There are no services that are delivered to them. So the situation in Gogrial, the situations in Warab State is the same as the situations in Unity State. The situation in Warab State is the same as the situation in Western Equatoria State. The situation in Warab is the same as the situation in Jonglei State and the rest of our states. So the government that we have in Juba is not delivering services to all South Sudanese. All right, somebody may argue and tell me that, well, this government has a big number of Dinkas who are ministers and advisors and so forth. And they are all Dinkas. And because their number is the biggest number in the government, then this government is their own. This is not true, because those who are in the government who come from the Dinka community are not actually representing the Dinka community. They are representing themselves, and they are after their own interests. But the government in Juba, unfortunately, is dividing the people of South Sudan, because it is a failed government. It's not a government that is there for the people of South Sudan. It is not a government that is there to provide services to our people. So this government tells the Dinka people that this government is your government, so that they win the allegiance of the Dinka people. They win the supports of the Dinka people so that they continue to remain in power. But in fact, the Dinkas are not beneficiaries of the government that we have in Juba. The Dinkas are equally suffering with the rest of South Sudanese who come from Jonglei State, who come from Upper Nile State, who come from Central Equatoria State, those other South Sudanese who come from Western Equatoria State, Eastern Equatoria State, those other South Sudanese that come from Unity State, those other South Sudanese that come from Jonglei, Jebel Buma, and all our states. So we are all victims of the government that we have in Juba. So it would be wrong for somebody to argue and tell me that the government in Juba is a Dinka government because we have many Dinkas, or we have many members in the government that comes from the Dinka community. Those government officials in Juba are representing none other than themselves. They are not there representing their Dinka community, because what they are doing is to divide the people of South Sudan so that they continue in power and maintain power for a long time. And because many people, many other South Sudanese think that this government in Juba is a Dinka government, Dinkas have become a target of their hatred. There is a great hatred going on in South Sudan against the Dinka people, because people think that the Dinkas are the one enjoying the fruits of the government that we have in South Sudan. Many people think that the Dinkas are dominating the security organs, they are dominating the government, they are dominating the police, they are dominating the customs. Many people think that the Dinkas are dominating wildlife forces and all the organized forces. Yes, I would agree with someone who would argue in this area because it is noticeable that in different kinds of organized forces, we have many Dinkas who have joined those forces. And And if you go back historically, you would find that most of them were members of the SPLA. And after the signing of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, some of them dropped out from the SPLA and they joined police. Some of them joined the wildlife forces. Some of them joined the national security. And some of them joined customs and other organized forces. Some were recruited after the CPA. And we have other South Sudanese who are also members of different kinds of organized forces that we have in our country. So somebody would be correct here if he tells me, or if he said that the organized forces are 80% dominated by the Dinka. This one is a mistake. I accept this, and I said this one is a mistake, and it is a mistake that was committed by the current leaders, because South Sudanese are supposed to be equally stakeholders in all the public domains or the public life, whether it is police, whether it is wildlife, whether it is national security, and all organized forces. The same thing in the executive, the same thing in the legislature, the same thing should happen also in the judiciary. So the current elites who are in Juba are the owners of this government. The government we have in Juba is a government of elites. And sometimes I believe that using the word elites to describe those guys who are in power in Juba is not even suitable, because they are not elites in the real sense of the word. They are a group of people who have been lucky to have found their way to power and run the country without a clear vision, without services to the people. And because they have the desire of clinging to power, they have heard their own differences, and they fought among themselves, and they plunged the country to the civil war from 2013. And after they signed the first peace agreement in 2015, then the country was plunged back again to the civil war in 2016, and it continues until 2019, when they signed the last agreement that they called the Revitalized Peace Agreement for the resolution of the conflict in the Republic of South Sudan. And they are now together in Juba, and they are trying to form the government of national unity. At the national level, it has been formed. We have known the ministers, but now they are still negotiating on the issue of the governance, to come up with the governance. So to summarize my point, the government that we have in Juba is not a Dinka government. The reasons are very clear. Number one, those who are in the government are not representing the Dinka community. This is number one. Number two, they are not delivering services in the Dinka areas so that other South Sudanese could have a right to say that this is a Dinka government because it is only serving the Dinka people. We are equally victims of the policies of this government. And therefore, we must stop hatreds against the Dinka. I would like to call on all political activists who always speak in various forums, whether it is on social media, on Facebook, or here on YouTube, or in any other place. All the forums we have should not be used as platforms to incite other fellow South Sudanese to hate Dinkas, because Dinkas are also victims like the rest of South Sudanese. And if you go on to deliver hate speech against the Dinkas, then the Dinkas would not join the call for change that you are that you are championing nowadays. I'm one of the people who call for the change, because the current government that we have in Juba is a government that has completely failed. It has failed us by all standards, and therefore it has to go, because they have no any other purpose. They have no the agenda of serving the nation. Their own agenda is to remain in power and enjoy the dividends of power, enjoy the privileges that are there in power. And so I'm one of the people who say that this government has to go. So if you other members of different communities of South Sudan, or let me say other South Sudanese, if you use your platform to incite hatreds or to incite other South Sudanese to hate the Dinkas, then this is completely wrong. What you should do is call all South Sudanese, including the Dinkas, to stand up for change and change the current government that we have in Juba. Because if you preach only hatred against the Dinka people, they would feel that they are targeted, and they would stand for self-defense, and they would not join the call for regime change in Juba. So that's why I said earlier, whoever is preaching hatred, whoever is inciting other South Sudanese to hate Dinka, is committing a big mistake. So time has come to unite our voice. Time has come to unite ourselves. And the unity that we are supposed to have now is the unity of purpose. We have to unite our ranks. We have to unite our voice. Our program has to be one, so that we can change, together we can change the government that we have in Juba, because this government has failed all of us as people of South Sudan. And it is only through our unity that we would be able to bring change in the Republic of South Sudan. So if you continue to say that the government is a Dinka government, then you are telling members of the Dinka community that don't join us in our call for the regime change. So regime change, if we are really for the regime change, then we need the Dinkas to join the movement for the regime change in the Republic of South Sudan. Because you cannot make change without your fellow Dinkas joining you. So let our message be one. From today onward, let our message be one, that we want everybody to join the call for the regime change, because we are equally victims. It is this government that has divided us along tribal lines. It is this government that has made us to hate ourselves. It is this government that is arming the tribes against other tribes. And one of the examples that one can give is what is happening in Jonglei. I have an information that the government is arming one tribe against the other communities. And this is a big mistake which should not be done by this government. In terms of services delivery, we all agree that this government has failed us. We have no schools, we have no hospitals, we have no roads, we have no basic needs or basic necessities of life that are supposed to be provided to us by this government. And so those guys who are in Juba are in the position where they are entitled to deliver services to all of us, but unfortunately they are not doing that. And when somebody stand up to speak about their failure, the only way for dealing with such a person is shooting. So they shoot us and they kill us. Enough is enough. Many young people have been killed. You remember that Isaiah Abraham was killed. You remember that recently Kerbino Wall was killed. You remember that Julius Moy was killed. You remember that Peter Abdurrahman Sula is believed to have been killed by this government, because his whereabouts is not known until now, more than 5 years now. And many journalists have been killed for speaking out the truth. Many political activists have been put to jail or killed. Many government officials, some of them, not all of them, some of them who tried to speak out the truth were excluded from the government. So the agenda of this government is very clear. It is a totalitarian government. It is a government that is ruling the country through the security organs. It is a government that is terrorizing its citizens. It is a government that is agitating conflicts between the people of South Sudan so that they hate themselves, so that they kill themselves, and so that they continue in power. Such a government should not be allowed to continue. Such a government should be changed so that we bring a new government that would deliver services to all of us as people of South Sudan, a government that will unite us rather than this government which is dividing us, this government that is making us to hate ourselves for nothing. So my message to all of you today is that the government we have in Juba is not a Dinka government. So we need to bring a new government that will come and make the reform in our country. A government that will have one army with all South Sudanese included. A government that will have police, security organ, wildlife forces, customs, with all South Sudanese included. Because exclusion of anybody is not acceptable. And that one could cause insecurity in our country, as it is now the case. Now we have many people who have taken up arms against the government to fight. Why? Because of injustice. They feel that they are not part of the government, or they feel that not all South Sudanese who are represented in the government. They feel that the system of governance that we have is not supposed to be the system of governance that we should really have. Why? Because in our constitution, the system of governance is said to be the decentralized system of governance. But if you look into it practically, you would find that this is not a decentralized system of governance. In fact, it is a centralized system of government. Everything is now in the center, and people are coming from the periphery. People are coming from the countryside, joining the center, which is now Juba. So this is completely wrong. So we support whoever is calling for the governance system that would be a governance system which we all support as the people of South Sudan. So this is my message to all of you today. This government is a failed government and it must go. As I talk to you now, we have our ambassadors, all the ambassadors of the Republic of South Sudan in different countries where they are, have spent now, up to now, 24 months without their salaries. As I talk to you, we have our MPs in East African community humiliated because our government has not been able to pay our membership fees in the East African community. As I talk to you now, our soldiers did not have their salary for 8 months. As I talk to you now, our civil servants did not have their salaries for more than 6 months. So as I talk to you now, our health system is completely broken and crushed. Many people are dying of this pandemic, and the government is doing nothing. And we all know what is happening. So we pray for God's mercy on our people. As I talk to you now, the African Union has suspended the membership of the Republic of South Sudan over unpaid arrears. That amounts to $9 million for 3 years. So this is a government that has failed us in all aspects of life. Internally, there are no services for us. There is no security. There is no proper education. There is no health. There is no everything. Regionally or diplomatically, our government has failed us. As I told you that our ambassadors until now did not have their salaries for 24 months. So we need to unite ourselves, and I call that unity a unity of purpose. We have to stand up together as people of South Sudan for change. Our voice has to be one. We have to unite ourselves. Let's forget about our political, tribal differences, because this was created by the regime that we have in Juba. Those who are in the government, as I told you, are people who are representing themselves. They are not representing anybody. They claim to be telling, they claim that they are, they actually tell the Dinkas that this government is your government so that they win their support. All right? So what they are doing is what is called divide and rule policy. They are exercising divide and rule policy. Some years back, when Riek Machar renegated from the government, and the Dinkas were told, look, the Nuer are coming to fight you and kill you. So Dinkas were mobilized against the Nuer, when actually the problem was not the Nuer problem. The problem was a problem between two politicians. But when they failed to understand themselves, and then they used their guns as a new political language, we were all mobilized. The Dinkas were mobilized against the Nuers, and the government forces killed many Nuers in Juba, and the same thing, the Nuer killed Dinkas in Bor. So you see, they created divisions among us, they created hatred. We are now hating ourselves for nothing. And after all, when Riek Machar came back, or when he made the agreement with Salva Kiir, they are now together in the government in Juba. So after the formation of the government, we have seen some of Nuer defecting from Riek, joining President Kiir, arguing that Dr. Riek is not fair in allocating the political portfolios to the members of the SPLM-IO. So if you look into this, you would find that it is no longer the issue of Nuer now, or the issue of Dinka. It is an issue of politicians. All right? So we have to stand together, unite our voice, and say to this government, enough is enough, so that this government can be changed, and we have a new government that will chart the way forward, a government that would provide security, unite the people of South Sudan, so that we can build our country together. I don't have much to say. Until here, I would say bye. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, like, comment. I repeat, please like, comment, subscribe to my channel. Let's support one another, because you might have a channel here on YouTube, and I have also to subscribe to you, so that we support each other. So thank you very much. See you next time.